Joe, these are the one-shot vaccine results we have been waiting for from J&J from its phase 3 trial. In the United States, they showed 72% efficacy against moderate to severe COVID-19 with just one dose of this vaccine. Now, overall, worldwide, they ran this trial across 3 continents, and including in South Africa, where they had a lot of that new variant. And so overall, the efficacy is 66%, brought down, of course, by the presence of that variant, especially in South Africa. Now, importantly, the vaccine showed 85% efficacy in preventing severe disease. Complete protection, they say, against hospitalization and death 28 days after getting that shot. So you get one shot 4 weeks later. That protection against being put in the hospital or dying from COVID. Experts tell me that is what you look for in a vaccine. Now, they ran this trial in multiple countries and so did pick up that B.1.351 variant we've been hearing about from South Africa, and 2 cases were just detected in the U.S. yesterday. So the efficacy regionally really varied. In the U.S., 72%, Latin America, 66%, South Africa, 57%. Now, J&J tells me it plans to file for emergency use authorization with the FDA next week. Remember, this is a one-shot vaccine. They're going to be packaging it in a 5-dose vial. It can be stored in the fridge for 3 months at that regular fridge temperature. So a pretty easy shot to then put right into the supply chain, guys. 72% efficacy in the U.S., really interesting data just because of all of these different variants. You see J&J down there, 3.6%. But guys, folks that I'm talking with focus on severe disease and the fact that you can prevent severe disease hospitalization with one shot. One shot. That's a big deal.
If you did a one-shot analysis of Pfizer and Moderna, you'd be 50% probably, right, Meg? So, I mean, you need to take all of that into account. I'm not telling people what to do with the stock, obviously, but it's nuanced, and there's pros and cons to the J&J versus the Pfizer and Moderna.
There absolutely are. I mean, we know with Pfizer and Moderna, they're 2 shots, either 2 or 3 or 4 weeks apart. And with Pfizer, particularly, you have to keep it ultra cold. Moderna's has to be kept quite cold as well. Those are tricky. And, J&J is running trials of 2 shots in different countries around the world. So they'll have those data as well. But the ability to roll out a one-shot vaccine that can just be, put in the fridge for 3 months, that's just very easy. The questions are going to be, about supply. We don't know exactly how much J&J will have immediately whenever it gets EUA from the FDA. We'd heard from Moncef Slaoui approaching 10 million doses in February. They wouldn't confirm that to me. They've just said they'll meet their supply commitments, which are 100 million doses to the U.S. by the end of June. So we'll see how fast this can really help with our response. But being able to keep you out of the hospital and protect you from the severe effects of this disease, that's what vaccine experts say is important for vaccines.
Hey, Meg, let's try and compare this because J&J has been running these trials under different circumstances than Moderna and Pfizer were. Moderna and Pfizer, we saw 95% efficacy, but that was before you saw these other strains that are going around. Now, we did hear from Moderna that there is less effectiveness when you start throwing in the South African strain, but I don't know how to match that up to efficacy levels like you would be looking at the 57% or whatever it was, the efficacy for this J&J vaccine in South Africa. I mean, what did they say? It was like 6-fold fewer, or 6. What was the for Moderna when you introduced the South African vaccine? Was so? What does that mean in terms of efficacy? The problem is, how can we match that up?
We don't know exactly. So we don't know exactly what level of antibodies you need to provide protection, to have that correlate of protection, to be able to make that calculation. People are, of course, trying to do that, but without actually testing these mRNA vaccines against the B.1.351 variant to see how well it protects against disease, we just don't know. I mean, we might get those correlates of protection fairly soon and be able to try to make those calculations, and that is probably going to be how new versions of vaccines are evaluated, just because we won't be able to keep running these giant efficacy trials that take months and thousands of people. So once we have that information, they'll be able to make decisions about how to get these new vaccines going. I mean, talking with J&J, they've already started looking at new potential vaccine constructs in case they needed to before they saw these results. And what we might be seeing from all of these companies is potentially multivalent vaccines, vaccines that protect against multiple strains in the same vaccine. We have that with the flu shot, and we could see that here as well. Yeah. Just because this virus does mutate, and especially when we give it the opportunity to, and we don't bring case numbers down.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.